Now this is the laundromat cart from the video. This is a good one. Now yeah, the good one is built the same way, but I'm going to go ahead and beef both these up because the minute I don't, the good one will become like this destroyed one. I mean, you can see this. So we're going to straighten, I'm going to straighten these legs out. I'm going to bring this up and build it up. Yep. Hear that? That's the sound of money. You wanna know what the sound of money is? That's it. Ching, 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 ching. Ching, 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 ching. Alright, well you're gonna have to put up with the ducks quacking. I'm sure in a few minutes they'll kind of knock this off, maybe. They're like little kids. So in this video I'm gonna go over how I'm gonna rebuild these carts that you saw in the last video. I'm just gonna do some quick welding, and while I'm doing this I'm gonna answer some of the comments I get. And I'm gonna name off the people and what their comment was and my response. It's probably the easiest way to answer some questions, the fastest. But first, I gotta bend this thing straight. So, we need a little fire. Safety first. Hello. Well, that's as good as it's going to get with how bad it is. Now my plan is, now that I got it straight, because these customers could just bend this right back up. Seriously guys? I mean, what are we expecting about now? Anyway, I'm going to weld pieces of metal right behind this flat stock. That's going to build that up, and I'm going to be able to straighten it out at the same time. Now across here there's already a bar up there, so I'm going to tie this into that bar. This bar I'm going to tie into it. I'm going to make sure the wheels are at the right spot. And honestly, if that doesn't do it for these carts, then I'm just throwing these away. I'll keep the baskets and make bottoms for them. Now going forward, I'm going to make my own bottoms and just buy my own wheels, and then I'll buy baskets separate, because I'm tired of buying this chintzy stuff. Even the ones I have that have tubing that look higher dollar, like stronger, I welded some of those up for the other laundromat. They break those too because they're just spot welds. They're really not built real well. I mean, they're R&B carts. They're not the worst cart in the world, but they have the economy grade, which is what these are, and they have the higher dollar one, which is what those round ones are, the round tubing ones. But in my opinion, they're all pretty much about the same. They just, for what I deal with, they just don't hold up. So. Now, this cart, you can see the legs a little bit better. This one was so bent up, I actually angled this side and made that one, I left that one straighter. It gives it a little bit of a lean. People keep leaning them, so maybe they'll think that's better, I don't know. They may not even notice, so I'm not gonna waste my time. It's level, you know, it rolls good, it doesn't rock, it's not gonna tip over. That's what I'm going for, it's just a nice rolling cart. It's off by a little bit, but like I said, these aren't the prettiest things now anyway. I'll go ahead and cut some pieces and put right here and right here. I'll tie it into this top plate here, and I'm actually welding it into this bar. This bar is actually a loop all the way around the bottom. There's also one on the top here. And by welding those rods in there, it's connecting and giving more strength. I think that's gonna work a lot better. I think because these bars are so flat, I mean, they can really bend down them, especially if they get down here to the wheel. That's a weak point. So I think if I just weld that in there, even if I had angle iron, that'd be perfect. Just put some strips in there and just weld them in there. I think that'd fix the problem. I'm gonna make some real industrial ones for Laundromat number 2. And they'll buy the baskets and I'll buy some wheels, but I'll actually make the bottoms and I'll just mass produce them. People were making comments, they're like, I hate to see them get stolen. Well, I have a trick for that. Once we get the roof done in a few weeks, we're gonna start working on the inside of that laundromat. And it's kind of a neat way that the carts will never leave, and it's not locking wheels. A lot of people are like, oh, I get locking wheels for them like Aldi's or like the grocery stores have. It's not that. It's something else. It's ingenious. I found it, and I'm gonna kind of make my own, but it's ingenious. I think it'll work great. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. One thing I want to show you in my shop I have. One thing I have. You see this torch I'm using? And I don't know if you can see this up here. You see this big wheel behind me. You know, at Horror Freight, you can buy the hose reels for your air hose or electric cords. Well, this isn't from Horror Freight, but basically, this is from another importer of sorts, and it's my acetylene torch. And what's beautiful about it is I don't have to go chasing for it all the time. It's its own hose reel. And it's got 100 foot of the oxygen and acetylene. Then my tanks sit right down here, see? My tanks sit right down here, and then I just plug them in, and I can reach to the back of the barn, I can reach to the front of the barn, I can even go outside, which is super helpful. I get a lot of comments that I don't wear a welding helmet. I have an auto darkening welding helmet, I just don't use it a lot. I do use it. These are darker than this welding helmet. These are a shade 6, I think, or 7. And this is a shade 5. Normally I just use these when I'm plasma cutting. They're great for torching and plasma cutting. They protect my eyes. I don't burn my eyes. Now I got a little surprise I'm making. Coming up, I'm going to show you what this thing is. And if anybody has any guesses what I'm building, throw it down there in the comments. Now the bottom's open. It's got plates on the side, and it's got a cavity in it. And it's about 10 by 11. It's about 4 inches wide. I'm trying to make it smooth so nobody gets hurt. I'm going to paint it. Coming up in the video, I'm going to start showing what I'm making. I'm making these boxes for the laundromats. And I just showed you what the size and what it is roughly. It's all made out of this 3/16 plate. It's basically going to protect something. Got any guesses? Put it down there in the comments. Let's see who can figure out what I'm making. All right, for this part of the video, I'm gonna talk about some of the questions I get on these videos. Instead of writing responses, I think it's gonna be a lot easier for me just to give you a response. Now, you notice I'm in a different spot. I'm not in the laundromat. I'm not in my barn. This is actually a day swing I made for my wife. You can see some lights in the background over there. My neighbor, a couple acres over, has lights in their trees, kind of like a party place, I guess. I have a fire pit, and I'll show you a picture of this. It's something in progress. I'm building it. All right, first question I got is, what does a box of soap cost? Well, when you saw me in that video unloading those boxes, those big cardboard boxes cost between $57 and $59 a box. Now in that box there's 157 cases, of individual cases of Tide or Bounce or Gain. Laundry bags are a little cheaper. They're like 54 or 50 bucks a box. So you got $59 for the box, and you divide that by 157. It gives you 37.5 cents a box. So each Tide box, each Bounce box is costing me about 38 cents a piece. So in the video you saw I vended it for $1. So $1 minus 38. I'm making what, 60 some cents, 62 cents a box. Now I sell one box of Tide, one box of Bounce, and one box of laundry bags each month at each laundromat. So you take that 57 times 3 times 62 cents times 3. So I'm making about 318 bucks a month on all 3 laundromats just selling soap products, roughly, give or take. Now you'll ask, well, what is shipping? Well, that 57 or 59 bucks that I get that soap for, that includes the shipping. Now if I wanted it overnight, they would charge me more, but I do the free shipping, which is included in the price of that box. Norton Soap Supply, Norton Laundry Supply, that's where I get my stuff. It's out of Rhode Island. I order my soap and I usually have it in 3 days. Okay, Stephen Wooden Awesome asked about my timers. Now where did I get them? I got them at Maynard's. Now in your state you may not have a Maynard's. Now Maynard's in most states is called Menards, but where I am, because I'm a hillbilly, we call it Maynard's. Now Maynard's, they sell those timers. They're all metal. There's plastic ones you can get, don't get those, but I want to say it's called a Wells timer, and you say it looks like one that's used in the irrigation timer. You're right, it is. It's just not an outdoor unit. It's meant for indoors. Here's a question from Light Bear 123. How do you know how much you make in a given period like you did in this video if you don't count the money? Okay, you may not see me count it. I do keep track of it, but I'm not going to bore people all the time by counting it. I kind of consider that kind of boring. I know viewers might be like, hey, that's not boring. I get that. Also right now with the whole virus thing going on, I hate to count this thing all the time and see all this money, because you know, I've had a few situations the last couple of days or a couple of weeks ago, and I showed one on video. If somebody can figure out where that laundromat is and I'm telling how much money I'm making, that's kind of making me an easy target, you know. So I'm not always going to show you how much I'm making. I had another, Will Alexander asked, can you do a clean with me in the laundromat video? I can do that. I mean, I thought cleaning's boring, but I'll do one where we really go in and like a typical day where we clean the laundromat. This viewer asked, why not close while you collect the money? Why not close the laundromat? Why not lock it up? Well, I'm protected, so I'm not that worried about it. Now the laundromat that I've had all the vagrants and homeless in there, I do use the Alexa app and I do lock the doors. So that one is locked when I change it out. Now I haven't showed you a change out video in there yet, and I will, but I do lock that one. But if I did feel that I needed to, I could lock them up really easily just with the touch of a button on any of them. So I'm not too worried about that yet. I had free to say what I like. Can't wait till you put in the new coin box and break the wall open to fit it in. In that laundromat, not only am I going to put the coin box in and break that wall, I'm going to break the wall down a ways from it where those popping candy machine are, and that arcade machine, because I'm going to build that arcade there. So pretty soon here I'm going to be cutting through that wall in 2 places, and the machines that are in my garage are actually going to go over there, and we're going to turn that arcade on here. Robbie Crosby, he's in the UK. He's asked me, has it been a lot busier since the virus? It's picked up a little bit. My laundromats have picked up. I've noticed that. I've noticed people washing everything in their house is what I've noticed. So I may not have more customers, but people are washing everything because they're home and they're sterilizing everything they got. Rugs, carpets, beds, jackets, pillows, everything. So I've noticed the volume from my customers has picked up. I've gained a few customers, but not a lot. Laundromats are kind of funny. People will use you, then they'll get upset, and they'll move on to another one. They get upset there, and they come back. So I
I haven't seen that as much as I've just seen the volume of what my current customers are bringing in. Okay, I had a question from, and I'm going to murder these names, and I'm sorry. I'm going to call him M&M. Is the building still white and blue outside? Now, yes, it is. And I will start in the future filming the outside of the building before I go in, when I do a change out or when I clean it, so you know which laundromat I'm at, because it's getting kind of confusing when I say 1, 2, or 3, and I think I should be showing you the outside of the building. Now, a lot of people talked about me buying my own vending machines. It's not that I don't own them now, but I did. The first laundromat I bought had a pop and a candy machine in it, and I ran it for about 2 years. I actually bought the product, somebody else filled it. It was good and everything, but the problem is it got to be such a headache, because one, the compressor went out of the candy machine, so I'm replacing the compressor. Then the pop machine compressor went out. Then buttons stopped working. Then the dang coin mechanism. Then the bill validators. And it wasn't that they were dirty, it was just the machines were so old. And everything was a different brand. Like there was Narco, and there was another brand name, and I'm like, you know, I don't need to learn everything in the world. I just need to find someone to put something in there where I can make some money, because it wasn't very passive income. That's why when I see these laundromat videos like Parker Thompson, and there's a Tim O'Laughlin, I think is his last name. He does the things too. I mean, there's a bunch of them that make comments all the time, vending channels. Hats off to them. Like I said, they can figure all that out. That's great. Sometimes in life you can't do everything, and so part of my life is I'm trying not to do everything. I'm trying to just own the property and have other people do parts where I make more money, because it just doesn't make sense for me to be the vending guy, be the poison control person, be the cleaning, the change out guy, the repair guy, the snow plower, the landscaper. After a while it just gets to the point where it really isn't passive, and it's just a full-on 5 or 6 jobs, and you're barely making any money. So that's why I don't do the vending. It just got to be such a headache. It wasn't even worth my time anymore. So that's the thing with the vending machines. And then Free What to Say asked Free to Say What I Like asked about the soap. I buy it from Norton Supply. I'm gonna have to look into the Snuggle fabric sheets. Richard Heightenton, he recommended that they're half off of Bounce. I'm gonna have to look into that. I didn't know that. Like I said, I'm not a genius when it comes to some of this stuff. I stumbled onto buying a laundromat. It wasn't like I was like born and raised in the laundromat industry. It was a cheap building. I mean, you got to realize, guys, my first laundromat, that #1, I paid $70,000 for it in 2010. It came with all the equipment, vending machines, the building, and a customer base. I didn't have to do nothing. I didn't have to advertise. I didn't have to turn the power on. I didn't have to build nothing. I just literally flipped the open sign on the next day, and I was an owner. That's what happened, and I love it, and it did great, and it's worth a hell of a lot more than what I paid for it. And to give you a value, that place is worth about $300,000 to $350,000 right now, with the equipment package I have in it and the land, the real estate itself, what it's worth. So that was a good property. But at the time, I was looking at mini storages, car washes, and laundromats and apartment buildings. I wanted to buy something that year that I could make more money on. So that's what I bought. And then I bought another one. Then I built one. Let's see what else we got. I have a lot of comments about collection videos. I'm going to try to do a collection video every week. I'm going to try to do some kind of repair, or, you know, my properties, like whether it's the farms or it's my rental properties. I'm going to do some repair video where I'm going and working on these properties, because it's not all just making money, and it really isn't. So I'll do a collection video, some kind of other real estate video where I'm going to my properties, and then maybe the third one for the week I'll probably do something where I'm giving advice or try to show you something that you haven't seen before inside that kind of a property. And then kind of going forward, I'm going to answer some of the questions in between there. So like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I could be posting videos. Instead of doing a video like this where I'm answering your questions, I could be posting light flickering in trees. I could be posting more videos where in Tuesdays and Thursdays to kind of answer your questions, because I'm getting so many questions it's hard to respond to everybody. Now, I had another question. I had another question from a viewer about cost of machines, and I'm going to actually have one of my vendors send me a price list, because I haven't bought any new machines in like, I think it's been like 3 years. So if I give you prices that are like 3 years old,